Mafia boss invited his ex to humiliate her at his wedding, but she walked in with twins and shattered his entire world. Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome home to Inspiring Stories. If no one has reminded you today, let me be the one. You are precious. You are needed. You are deeply, deeply loved. I don't speak to a crowd. I speak to hearts. Your heart. And if mine still lives inside yours, please comment, I am here. And like this video, not because I told you to, but because it makes me feel your love. When you do that without me asking, I feel so proud. I feel seen. I feel held. You are the soul of this channel. Every time I hit record, I think of you. Your kindness, your patience, your warmth. I don't just tell stories, I write them with the love I have for you. And I promise no one in this world could ever love you the way I do. Let's start. Blackstone City wasn't ruled by law. It was ruled by fear, and fear belonged to Adrian Cross. His name could quiet a courtroom, empty a bar, or make a politician change his vote. The docks answered to him. The casinos washed his money clean. The missing containers at the port were his signature. He hated only one thing more than rivals: looking weak. That weakness had shaped the cruelest decision of his life. Years earlier, before the tailored suits and armed entourage, Adrian had met Amara Okoye in a neighbourhood the powerful ignored. Amara was black African, proud and poor, the kind of woman who carried dignity like a weapon. She worked hard, spoke carefully, and watched Adrian with eyes that didn't flinch. While others feared his darkness, she asked what it cost him. For a brief season, Adrian let himself believe she made him human. Then his rise accelerated. Men gathered around him, advisors, soldiers, hungry friends, warning him about optics. She's poor, they said. She's African. A boss can't look soft. Rivals will use her. The families will laugh. Adrian listened, because laughter felt like a blade. One night, he ended it with words designed to cut. You don't belong in my world. He expected tears, pleading, bargaining. Amara gave him none. She stared, inhaled slowly, and walked away as if he were already dead to her. Adrian told himself it was necessary. He never asked where she went, never checked if she was safe, never learned what she carried with her. Now, years later, Blackstone City glittered for his wedding. The venue was guarded like a bunker, metal detectors disguised as decor, armed men in suits, cameras on every corner, and lookouts posted above the street. This wasn't romance, it was strategy. His bride, Zuri Okafor, was a white American billionaire, polished, ruthless, built for high society. Their marriage was a public alliance, mafia muscle plus corporate money, a new empire with a clean headline. As the music swelled, Adrian leaned toward his assistant. Did she get the invitation? Yes, boss, the man murmured. Amara Okoye confirmed. She's coming. Adrian's mouth curved, not quite a smile. He wanted Amara here for one reason: humiliation. To show Zuri and the city that his past was small and powerless. The officiant began. Ladies and gentlemen. Then the hall trembled with a low roar from outside. Menus, heavy, controlled, the kind of sound that made security shift and hands hover near hidden weapons. Heads turned toward the glass doors. A convoy rolled up, black SUVs and an armoured sedan. 2 children stepped out first. A boy and a girl, about 6, calm as if they'd been raised around power. The boy's jaw and eyes hit Adrian like a punch. The girl's fearless stare felt like a mirror. Then Amara Okoye stepped out behind them, elegant, unbreakable, walking straight toward the wedding that was meant to break her. Inside, the guests stopped breathing. Adrian's hand tightened on the rail, and for the first time in years he felt unsure. Amara entered the hall as if it belonged to her, not loud, not rushed, just certain. The twins walked beside her, one on each side, small hands in hers. Behind them moved 3 men in suits with the posture of professionals, not wedding guests. Adrian noticed their eyes first, scanning exits, measuring distance, reading every face. Not his people, not afraid of his people. The crowd parted instinctively, as though wealth itself had stepped aside. Champagne glasses paused midair, phones rose carefully, trying to capture without looking obvious. Adrian saw Zuri's smile tighten, her rich composure turning sharp with suspicion. "Who is that?" Zuri asked, voice low but cutting. Adrian didn't answer. His throat felt dry. He had imagined Amara arriving in something cheap, head bowed, face tired. Instead, she looked like a woman who had turned pain into profit and made peace with the cost. Amara reached the front, stopping a few feet from the stage. The officiant faltered, words trapped in his mouth. A guard shifted, waiting for Adrian's signal. Amara's eyes met Adrian's. There was no pleading in them, no nostalgia, only a steady, dangerous calm. Zuri stepped forward, chin high. "This is a private ceremony," she said. "State your name." Amara didn't glance away from Adrian. Amara Okoye. The name moved through the room like a ripple. Some recognized it, some didn't, but everyone heard the confidence in it. Zuri turned slightly, searching Adrian's face for explanation. Adrian forced his expression into stone. "This isn't the time," he said, voice measured like a warning. Amara finally looked at Zuri. "He invited me." Zuri's eyes narrowed. "Adrian?" Adrian's jaw flexed once. It was a mistake. Amara's lips curved, almost a smile, but not warm. "A mistake?" she repeated softly, like she was tasting the word. Then she guided the twins forward 1 step. The boy lifted his chin. The girl watched Adrian without blinking. Amara spoke clearly, and the microphone caught her voice without her touching it, because the room had gone perfectly silent. "This is Ethan Okoye," she said, resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. Ethan stood straighter like he'd practiced. "And this is Lily Okoye." Amara brushed Lily's hair back gently. Lily's gaze stayed locked on Adrian, unafraid, almost assessing him. Whispers erupted. The resemblance was a cruel joke made visible. Adrian felt heat climb his neck as he saw it reflected in the guests' faces. Recognition, shock, curiosity, the thrill of scandal. Zuri's voice came out tighter. "Why are you bringing children here?" Amara turned back to Adrian. "Because their father wanted to humiliate me today." A murmur ran through the crowd, sharp, hungry. Adrian's eyes hardened. "Watch your words." Amara's calm didn't shift. "Or what? You'll do to me what you did before?" Zuri's face changed. "What did he do before?" Adrian inhaled, slow. "Amara," he warned. "Stop." Amara reached into her purse and removed a photo. Creased at the edges from being kept too close for too long. A hospital bed. Amara, younger, exhausted, holding 2 newborns wrapped in blankets. She held it up where the closest guests could see. Then she pulled out documents, medical records, dates, and a DNA report stamped and signed. Zuri stepped forward and read the first page. Her eyes widened, her lips parted. "No," Zuri whispered. Amara's voice stayed steady. "These are his children." The room exploded with gasps. Adrian's heart slammed once, hard. He'd built a life on control, and in one sentence, Amara had taken it away. For a moment, Adrian Cross didn't move. The Mafia boss who had stared down guns and judges and grieving fathers stood on a wedding stage, trapped by paper and a photograph. The crowd's whispers grew into a roar, soft enough to stay polite, loud enough to devour him. Zuri's hands trembled as she stared at the DNA report. She looked up at Adrian, eyes blazing with disbelief. "You told me you had no children," she hissed, each word slicing. "No past, no baggage." Adrian's voice was rough. "I didn't know." Amara tilted her head slightly. "You didn't want to know," she said, calm as ice. Adrian stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Not here," he warned. "Not in front of them." Amara's eyes didn't blink. "Here," she replied softly. "Exactly here." She turned to the guests, politicians, executives, criminals wearing expensive watches, and spoke as if she were presenting a quarterly report. "He invited me today to put me on display, to show you I was the poor African woman he threw away." Her gaze swept the room. "He wanted me small." A murmur rippled through the crowd as heads turned toward Adrian, suddenly seeing him not as a legend, but as a man with stains that wouldn't wash out. Zuri's voice sharpened. "Why didn't you tell me she existed?" Adrian's jaw flexed. His instinct was to control, to silence, to dominate. But cameras were everywhere, and Zuri's family money was too public to bully without consequences. He chose the only tactic left: minimize. "It's nothing," he said, louder now, performing calm. "A distraction." Amara's mouth curved again, the same almost smile. "Then let me distract you properly." She snapped her fingers once. One of the suited men behind her stepped forward, tall, clean-cut, eyes clinical. He carried a tablet like it was a verdict. He held it out to Amara, then stepped back into position without speaking. Adrian recognized discipline when he saw it. Amara took the tablet and turned the screen outward so the front rows could read. A headline, live and undeniable, glowed against the black glass. "Breaking. Amara Okoye acquires Okafor Industries. Majority ownership confirmed." The reaction hit like an explosion. Guests leaned forward. Phones rose higher. A few gasped openly. Zuri's face drained of a colour as if the words were poison. "That's my company," Zuri whispered, and for the first time her billionaire composure cracked into fear. Amara nodded once. It was. Zuri's eyes snapped to Adrian. "Did you know about this?" Her voice shook with rage and humiliation. "Did you stand beside me while your past bought my future?" Adrian stared at the tablet, mind racing. He understood violence. He understood threats. This was a different kind of power, the kind that could collapse empires without firing a bullet. And Amara was wielding it like she'd been born into it. "I didn't," Adrian began. Zuri cut him off. "Liar!" The word echoed, and suddenly the wedding felt like a courtroom where Adrian had no judge to bribe. Zuri's chest rose and fell, her eyes wet but furious. She reached up slowly, deliberately, and removed her ring. The room went silent again, the way it does right before something breaks. Zuri held the ring between two fingers, staring at Adrian as if she wanted to memorize his downfall. Then she dropped it. The ring hit the marble floor with a sharp, final sound. "I will not marry a man who abandons his own blood," she said, voice steady now, sharpened into steel. She turned to the guests. "This wedding is over." And she walked away, veil trailing like a torn flag. Adrian stood frozen as the cameras captured every angle of his humiliation. His men didn't move. They couldn't, not with the whole city watching. Amara looked at him, quiet, unflinching. The hall emptied the way a storm empties a street, fast, noisy, and merciless. People left in clusters, whispering into phones, eyes bright with scandal. Politicians avoided the cameras. Executives pretended they had urgent calls. Adrian's men remained at the walls, like statues, but even they couldn't stop the story from escaping. On the marble floor, Zuri's ring still lay where it fell, catching the chandelier light like a small, defeated sun. Adrian stood alone on the stage, looking down at the crowd's retreating backs. The Mafia boss who controlled Blackstone City had just been stripped in public, not by bullets, but by truth. Every security camera, every guest's recording, every journalist's hungry mouth had eaten a piece of his legend. When the last doors finally shut, the silence that remained was heavier than any gun. Amara didn't rush. She stepped forward slowly with Ethan and Lily beside her, their hands in hers. Adrian's eyes kept drifting to the twins as if his mind couldn't accept what his face clearly saw. Ethan held his chin high, too young to understand everything, old enough to understand enough. Lily's gaze was still fixed on Adrian, curious but guarded, as if she were looking at a man in a cage. Adrian's voice came out rough. "They're mine." Amara didn't react to the admission. "They're mine," she corrected, soft but firm. Adrian swallowed. He looked at the children again. "I didn't know," he tried. "If I had..." Amara stepped closer, just one pace. "If you had cared," she said quietly, "you would have known." She let the words sit between them, like a blade on a table. "You were never curious about my life after you left. Not once." Adrian's jaw tightened. He was used to commanding rooms, not defending himself. "I was building an empire," he said, as if that explained everything. Amara's eyes narrowed slightly. "And I was building a life," she replied, "with 2 babies in my arms and no one to blame but the man who walked away." Ethan shifted, squeezing Amara's hand tighter. He looked up at Adrian, then asked, blunt and innocent in the way children can be, "Are you the reason Mum cried?" Adrian's breath caught. Lily took a small step forward. Her voice was quieter but sharper. "If you're our father, why weren't you there?" Adrian opened his mouth. No words came. The silence betrayed him more than any confession could. Amara reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope, clean, crisp, prepared. She held it out to Adrian like a contract, not a memory. "Read it," she said. Adrian took it with fingers that didn't usually tremble. He unfolded the pages. Legal language, court seals, signatures. He scanned the lines, then froze as the meaning landed. Paternity confirmed. Parental rights terminated. Sole custody granted to Amara Okoye. His throat tightened. "No," he whispered, as if denial could rewrite ink. Amara's voice stayed calm. "You wanted to humiliate me today, so I brought the truth with me." She nodded once toward the papers. "This is what you earned." Adrian's shoulders sagged. For the first time, he looked less like a boss and more like a man. "Let me see them," he pleaded low. "Let me fix it." Amara didn't soften. "You don't get to fix what you chose." Ethan stepped forward and placed a folded piece of paper on the stage floor. A child's drawing, a house, a mother, 2 children, and a man off to the side, marked with a thick, angry X. Under it, in messy letters, Ethan had written, "We don't need you." Adrian stared at it like it was a death certificate. Lily tugged Amara's hand. "Mum, can we go now?" Amara nodded. "Yes, sweetheart," Adrian's voice cracked. "Amara, please." Amara stopped at the doors, but she didn't turn around. Her final words were quiet, precise, and final. "You left me because I was poor." A pause. "And today, I'm leaving you because you're empty." She walked out with Ethan and Lily. The doors closed. And Adrian Cross, the Mafia boss who owned Blackstone City, stood in the ruins of his own wedding, staring at a ring on marble and a child's drawing at his feet, realizing the only thing he could never steal back was time. To be continued